Good evening, everyone. A very warm welcome to Raj Yoga Center. As we can see, our topic today is overcoming anger. Anger is something we all face at work, at home, within ourselves. But what if it could be transformed into a source of clarity and power? That's where Brother Prakash comes in. Meet Brother Prakash, a transformational coach, seasoned facilitator, and author of Negotiate or Stagnate, with over 2 decades of experience guiding leaders toward clarity and growth. A practitioner of Raj Yoga meditation, he believes true strength lies in mastering the self. Today, he shares powerful insights on overcoming anger and taming your inner fire, turning inner turmoil into clarity, strength, and purposeful action. Please welcome Brother Prakash. Yeah, thank you.
Take 1 second. Hello. Check, check. Ah, yes. Okay, found something good about you? You shared something interesting about yourself? Okay, lovely. Okay, beautiful. So, how do you feel when you appreciate something about yourself? Yeah, instantly shifts your energy inside, right? There's an instant shift of energy when you're looking at something nice inside. I think that's a practice that we should do very often. How often do you do this? Very rare. Okay, good. Yeah, I think very important for us to do it more. There's so many wonderful things you're doing, but we just ignore it. And we don't have to appreciate ourselves for some big things that we're doing, right? Even the smallest things, there's so many lovely things which we might be doing, which we just become more aware of, right? So you might have woken a little bit early, you spoke to someone sweetly, you gave somebody some, some words that encouraged them. You showed up over here because you want to shift something inside yourself. You've been kind to yourself by coming here. So it's a beautiful thing you're doing. So there's so many things you're doing in the normal course of life, but we forget it. We're not looking, we're not noticing. And so it's nice that you appreciate yourself more because then you feel good, you feel nice. It's like self appreciation. And then when you feel nice, and if there's a jerk in life, what comes out? Something nice will come out because you've been feeling good already. You've been saying some good things to yourself. Otherwise, you're so dry inside, and then we don't know what's going to come and something happens. So learn to do that. So, what is anger? Of good definition. What do you think is anger? Can you someone share a definition that you have in your mind? What do you think is anger? A situation where you're unable to manage yourself. You go out of control in some way, and there's no management. Please come. Please come. Okay, it's a reaction. Okay, fantastic. It's a reaction. Hmm. It's a reaction to a situation. Is it what sort of situation? A situation that could sometimes seem to be a little bit of a threat, right? The moment, yeah, there's a trigger, and then I've sensed some sort of a threat in that. Something that is going to take something away from me, I kind of can get a little angry. So anger is an emotional reaction to a perceived threat or injustice. Now, it could be real or it could be completely unreal, but it's a perceived threat or injustice, something important to us. And we feel powerless to respond more constructively. There are so many ways we could respond to that, but anger is the only way we respond at that point in time. And therefore, we feel, oh, I should have done something more. I could have done something better. But it's a state of powerlessness, basically, when you're getting angry. It's uncontrolled. It's like, I don't have the power anymore. I've lost that power. I become very helpless in that state. I'm angry. I'm first of all, it may not even be a fact that I'm angry about. It's just something I perceive. It could be real, could not be. Some injustice that might have happened. And then it's really showing the powerlessness in me because I could have chosen something even more elevated as a way of responding, but I did not. Because what you really want to try and do here is you want to see how you can set things right. That's what you want to do. And largely, and most of the time, do you think anger sets things right from your own experience? So you do get angry for some reason, right? What's the reason? Why do we have anger? The reason is it comes to protect us. Because if something real injustice is happening, and if I don't get angry, then I'm not able to respond to some things that I need. Let's say uh, I've been suddenly, somebody suddenly comes and is really a threat to me, and I'm telling the person not to do that, but the person wants to do that, and it's a threat not to me but to so many other people. So then the anger would help me to at least stop the person from doing what it is, or to speak to the other people and let them know that this is what is happening. So it's a very important part of me that gets evoked due to some sort of a threat that may be real, and therefore I need to do it. The problem is, especially this is with humans, the threat is there. I'm angry because of this real threat, if there is one, for forever, so that I can do something to that space. Threat is gone away now. I should normally not be angry, right? But I have this beautiful skill and ability to keep creating that in my mind time and again, days after the threat has gone away, weeks after, months after it, and I can get angry over and over again. And that's not very healthy for us. And that becomes very difficult. Now, this is the cycle of anger. This is what happens usually. We are normal adaptive state. That's how we start off, like we are right now. I hope so, right? We're all in the normal adaptive state. Trigger, there's something that gets triggered off, right? We're all supposed to be uh, doing something, but somebody just kind of does the reverse of what everybody's supposed to do. And then that's a trigger. A simple thing could be, these are small things, right? You're sitting in a theater and somebody's mobile goes off. Or you've been given some instructions, or you're just standing in a queue for something and somebody just comes through. You're driving the car, somebody comes on. So there's a trigger, right? There's a trigger. Instantly, your normal state starts escalating. You start getting angry, and then you start screaming and shouting when you reach the crisis state. Really, you get very upset. And then you can see that in the body also. When there's a crisis, the whole body, there's certain, you can see palpitating, there's really heartbeats going fast. Sometimes you find some pain, your voice will kind of change. All that happens in the crisis state. And then there's a recovery. You start slowing down, it's gone off. There has to be a recovery. And then there's a depression. A depression usually is a space where you need back all the energy, because in the anger state, you have spent a huge amount of energy is gone because of the heartbeat, the rush of that particular blood into your body. You now need to really go to a state where you don't need to use too much of your energy. So you go to that depression stage, and many times it's also accompanied with guilt that happens in that space. So that's the usual cycle of anger. Now, let's try and understand a little bit of what happens in that anger state. So your body releases adrenaline, which increases your heartbeat as well as the blood pressure the moment you're angry. These are some of the chemicals that are instantly secreted into the body. Cortisols, which suppresses your immune system and affects your memory. You also got testosterone, which increases aggressive behavior. And glucose is also secreted more, which impacts your insulin balance, right? Now, this is what happens when you're getting angry. And therefore, what happens is if it's not managed properly, you have high blood pressure, heart attacks, strokes, reduced immunity, higher illness risk, poor focus, less memory, sleep disturbance, fatigue, mood swings, right? Can you imagine you go to sleep when you're angry? Because you're completely having the state, you're thinking about something and you're creating all these chemicals in the body. So much of things where you want to either run away, it's called fight or flight. You want to do one of those things. So you can't sleep. It's not possible. So that's what happens. Sleep disturbance, fatigue, mood swings, ulcers, indigestion, acidity, and all this happens because of all these. And of course, even diabetes, because of the imbalance that you have in the insulin, because of glucose that's constantly being pumped into your body because of this. Now, I was with this wonderful heart surgeon. He was here in Dubai many years back. And he spoke about all these things as signs of anger. And he asked us a question. How long do you think, if you get angry, all this gets secreted in the body, right? All those four gets secreted in the body. How long do you think it stays there? The cortisols, the testosterone, your adrenaline, how long does it stay in that body? If let's say you just get angry now, and then you're not angry for a long period of time, how long do you think that stays in your body? And of course, it's harming all your body organs. Any guesses? 3 days. It stays in the body 3 days. It's there and it's not pumped out completely. So it's interesting to see how a lot of our health is in our hands and how we are really spoiling and damaging a large part of it. So it's constantly there, no? That's what. Constantly we're damaging ourselves and we don't realize it. So we have to keep Um, yeah, so it is not something that, so we are not expected to keep getting danger in our lives every 3 days, right? Danger happens rarely sometimes, and that's why it is there for us, those threats. Okay, what's the cost of anger? Harms our health, breaks relationships, it clouds your judgment because it's system one thinking, leads to guilt and regret. And of course, it's sometimes seen as a poison which you're having. So any poison that you treat people with, it's like you have to have a little bit of the poison yourself before you give it to others. Because what you're trying to do, you're trying to harm somebody with your anger, right? You're getting angry. You want to show them, you want to take revenge. So you want to hurt somebody you actually in that space. But who's the first person you hurt? It's yourself. So it's the poison you're having yourself because of all the damages you saw. And it was Buddha who said, anger is like holding coal and trying to throw it on somebody else, which is burning. You're the first person to get burnt, and then somebody else gets affected by it. So this is the cost of anger. So we're just trying to see how we should really do something about it. Now, myth or fact? Anger is a bad emotion. Is it a truth or is it a myth? Myth means it looks like a fact, but it's not a fact. So, do you think anger is a bad emotion? Is it a fact or a myth? Okay, first let's hear why do you think it's a fact? Why is anger a bad emotion? It damages itself. Okay, why do you think it's a myth? Mm-hmm. Mm. Correct. Mm. Okay, good. So, yes, it's not a bad emotion. It's an emotion, definitely. However, it's an emotion that we need to try and understand has a reason only at a time when there is a real threat to us. And then, of course, I think it was Aristotle who mentioned that getting angry at the right time, at the right place, at the right, way is okay. And so we should really know how to get angry also, right? Because if it's anything else, then we're in trouble. So, does anger need to be unleashed? Many people say, no, if you're angry, you go and punch this bag nicely, you scream out, close the door, and do all those things. Do you think that's required for anger? Is it a truth or is it a myth? Absolutely true. Anybody else feels it's true? That you have to, yeah, unleash it and shout and scream? You feel great. Okay, beautiful. Anyone feels differently? Sometimes it's required to let it go. Correct. And how do you let it go? Who's the person? Is it a person or is it something else? Yeah. Yeah. So I think this is actually a myth. It's actually a myth because you're creating sanskars inside yourself. Every time you're doing this, you're getting habitual to it, and so tomorrow you may not have it. You have somebody else. It could happen in real as well because you feel you've got to just let it go out. And once it's done, wow, I'm okay. I feel relieved. But we have to resolve it. This is not resolving it. You still have not changed anything. You still have it there. You just had an outburst, but you've not resolved. That thought is there still, and we'll show you more about it. Can we ignore anger? Is that a fact? They say, just ignore it. And you just ignore it. Yeah. Yeah, it's a myth. You cannot ignore anger. Cannot control anger. I cannot control anger. Fact or myth? It's a fact. You wouldn't be here otherwise, would you? Of course you can. If there's one thing that's in your control in life, what's the one thing in my control? What's the what's in my control and what's not in my control in life? Let's say in life, we have so many things not in my control, so many things in my control, right? What are some things not in your control? The parking has become 6 dirhams in our control. No, right? Not at all. Not at all in control. So other people's behavior, other people getting angry, can you control? No way. Other people's, they're dropping the ball, they're not fulfilling your things, they're not living up to expectations. Can you control that? What can you control? That's the only thing you can react to. That's the only thing in my risk. And so if I say I can't control anger also, then my God, try to imagine I'm trying to control everything else, but not my anger. So that's the paradox of life. I should realize that there's one thing I can control, that's this part. And so I start working here and realize that there are so many things I cannot control. Release that. Because a huge amount of stress and helplessness comes into your life when you want to control things that you cannot control and you let go of those things that you can control. So we'd have to understand that. Yeah. So tomorrow you want to go and control somebody at home, stop that. So try to control yourself. you'll be saying, I wish that person had come over here to listen to me as well. So consider the pushovers. Sometimes people say, if I don't get angry, people will think I'm very weak. I'm very weak and meek, and I'm a pushover. You can do anything you want to me because I don't get angry. And so I want to be a little angry so I can show I'm powerful. I'm strong. What do you think? There's a truth to that. Yeah. It might be a half truth. That's why we put it up there. Because many people believe it's okay. Yeah. I know the person can't hear me, but unless I swear at the person in my wow. Yeah. Okay. So I'll swear at the person, although I know the person cannot hear, but it releases or it unleashes. Yeah. And then I'm done okay with it. Okay. Okay. So I think different people have different ways. The mechanisms to cope. Yeah. Yeah. So if you feel that works for you, the person doesn't listen to you, that's perfectly okay. Hope nobody else is in your car also. Well, if there is a noise, okay. Is it the best way to respond to it? And we'll see that when we see more. You have a look at it, just hold it to it. It's perfectly fine. You're doing it right now and you feel it's the best way and you're doing it well. And so many times we're doing something, it works for us, and that's perfectly fine. But at the moment we learn something better, we say, oh, wow, there is a better way. Okay. Okay. Don't worry. We'll try more. We'll not give up. And thanks. That's why you're here. Let's see a few more. We'll try. Today, we're going to try and give you 5 strategies at least. And so let's see one of those work. So, yeah, if you're going to be considered pushover, and because as I start getting angry, so I'm strong, then it's not really useful because the first thing that happens when you're angry is you are not able to reason things out. You're not able to reason things out. And so that's not a very good thing to be, because if I'm constantly wanting to just be angry because I want to show that I'm strong, not at all. There are many people in the world who can be extremely strong and powerful and still not get angry. All right. All right. So unhelpful ways of dealing with anger. And that'll probably come to what you were seeking. Ignoring anger. Don't ignore it. You got to work with it. Don't be aggressive. When you're angry, become very aggressive, shouting and screaming, and you like this and you're like that, and all those things. Passive aggression. What is passive aggression? I'm not telling it to you directly, but I'll do so many other things that'll hurt you. So I'm not angry, but you did something to me. Okay, I'll just keep quiet. But I know your friend who thinks they want to give you something. They come and tell me, "Hey, you're not going to give it. That person's such a useless person. I really want to spread rumors about you, say bad things about you. I do a lot of wonderful things behind you. And what I'm really doing is I'm not shouting at you. I don't show you. Okay, I'm fine. But internally, I'm actually very aggressive, but passively. Or not communicating. Have you seen people who don't communicate when they get angry? They just withdraw. Don't talk to me. That's not useful. Maybe for that moment, you may not want to talk, but it's very important that you communicate. Because that's a good way to really sort every conflict out. Because usually there's a lot of conflicts that are there. And because we're not able to resolve the conflicts, we could have that. So we need to communicate. We need to speak. We need to voice ourselves out. And what happens is it's a space between being passive and being aggressive. It's called being assertive. We're learning to speak about what we need, what we felt got violated, what was the injustice we really noticed. That's to be spoken about. So this is an important process of anger, and it kind of gives us a huge amount of things. First, there's a trigger. Someone does something. Yeah, there is a trigger. Somebody's phone suddenly just goes off. Everyone's quiet. Everyone's meditating and nicely silent, and something happens, right? So there's a trigger. Then what happens? There's a thought. There's a trigger followed by a thought. And that thought could be, can this guy understand what is most important right now? Or it could be, wow, it's interesting to see how, Murphy's Law, if something can go wrong, it will go wrong. And this was one of those evidences that it had to go wrong. So you're being a little bit humorous about things. And so you can either have a very negative thought or you could have a positive thought. But in anger, what happens is there's a trigger, there's a thought. How dare you? How can you do this? I mean, I told you this 3 times. You still did not do this. And now these guests are supposed to come and nothing's ready because of you. Or I was told to take care of this, take care of a gas, you didn't look at it, and now everything's burned. Now I have to go and do everything else. So whatever it is, so that's the thought that you create, which is, I'm going to be in trouble now. This is such a mess. This person doesn't understand simple words, simple English. And then there's an interpretation that you give to that particular thought that happens. And then there's a response. What's a response? It could be anger. If you interpret it as the guy's useless, guy doesn't know anything, I'm really in trouble now because I got to deal with this person. Why did I even, trust him? All those, that's the way you look at things. That's how the interpretation happens of that thought that created. Your response is going to be negative. Now, if you just look at this, there are a few things you can start working with this formula itself or this process of that will help you to resolve your anger. First one is the trigger. There's always a trigger, right? Can I actually free myself from that trigger? Can I just free myself from that trigger? No, not possible. Is it possible? Can you give me a way in which you have something that's creating anger for you and you can just free that trigger and there's no anger? No, detaches that comes later on. That's your response that you can do. But let's say the trigger, what is creating your anger? So can you think about something that creates your anger? You can't stop it. Let me think about a trigger that creates anger sometimes to me. Um, okay, disorganized way of keeping things. So somebody's keeping things in a very disorganized way, and that's the trigger. Every time I see it's disorganized, that's the later one. Pause. Those are all strategies. But I'm just thinking, can you change the trigger? Disorganized. Okay, I organize it, or I prepare myself, and it's somebody else. Disorganized is not. I'm talking to you. What you're doing with this, what you're doing yourself, because usually the triggers are there for yourself. For example, I get very angry when I see there's a red signal. Every time I go, I'm in a rush to reach the office, red signal, I get angry. Lots of traffic, I start getting angry with people. I'm already late, and then somebody else comes and breaks the queue. I get very angry. Now, that's the trigger of all these things. One of the things I can start doing is I can start going early. I have to just change my timing. Just showing one example of a trigger that I can start working with. If I am able to go on time, problem is solved. Let's say sometimes I'm very angry with somebody who cooks food, but they put too much oil, or they have too much salt, or the food is not tasty, or the food is prepared always late. What can you do? One way of getting free of the trigger is, hey, why don't I order some food from outside? Why don't I cook it myself? Why don't I? So you can do a few things. First of all, try to check your trigger and see, can I do some things to change in the way that a trigger itself doesn't exist? I've solved the matter. No, changing that trigger. Supposing I'm getting angry with the food that is being prepared for me by somebody else, I'll get to learn, or I'll prepare the food, or I'll get some better food. Or supposing I'm not able to do something, and therefore it's frustrating me always because I have to depend on somebody else for something. Okay, let's say there's AC that goes off continuously, or there's a small light, or my laptop, something is going off completely, continuously, or I have a problem with my finance accounts. I'm depending on somebody, they mess it up, and I get very angry. Hey, can I learn it myself? Can I educate myself? What are some of the things that I can do that will take the trigger off? Whilst it's not such an easy thing to do, but it's possible. Not every time. Few things. There are few things that are triggering you, which you can start. Can I just take care of the trigger itself? It doesn't exist. Sorry? Yeah, you're looking for a solution that is creating you the anger. So if you give me an example, I'll let you know. Give me an example of something that you might have. It's the alarm, like early in the morning. And buses. Okay, and he has to go like 9 or 10. He is buzzing the whole day, but still getting up late. Yeah. It's a trigger for us. There's no there, isn't it? Yeah, okay. So in that place, see, there are some things that I said, if it was me to change, I could do something. There are some things that I cannot do anything with the trigger. Like, for example, if I was the one who was getting angry because I cannot do something, Every time that thing shows up, I have to wait for somebody to come. It's very late. Okay, can I start doing it myself? Can I? That's the way I can change that trigger. That's one thing. Okay, so that's one way you can actually start looking at the trigger. But the second one is the thought that trigger. So what happens is your anger usually is not because of the trigger. It's your anger is not because of the trigger. Your anger is because of the thought that is created there and how you interpret that thought. It's in the interpretation where the anger comes. So if you want to shift that anger, okay, let's consider that the trigger is there. You can't do anything about the trigger. The alarm will have to ring. Things are going to be disorganized by them. Okay, fine. There's the interpretation of that which is creating the anger. Can you think about that? You interpret it in a way which is blowing things out of proportion, which is making you feel the threat, which is making you feel terrible. And that's why you're actually getting angry. If you can shift the interpretation of it, solved. So let's say some things are disorganized, right? So I come, I look at it disorganized. There's an interpretation. What's the interpretation? What is the interpretation we give to it? Why do I get angry? What do I look at it as? What is it that I'm seeing? Everything should be in its place. And I feel that's important for me. Everything should be in its place. Otherwise, it's very disorganized. Okay. So how can you, okay, everything should be, that's a thought. Everything should be in place. If it's not in a place, what? What am I creating? Sorry? Okay, why? Why? The irritate happens later on. What are you saying to yourself that irritates you?
You kept them all in place and now you see them in all disorganized. So the energy that's spent on doing it, it irritates you.
Okay. So I wasted my energy. You understand? Now that's the interpretation. I did all these things, such a waste of energy, and you feel terrible about it. Now, can you just shift that same interpretation to something else which will not let you get angry? What can that be? How can you change that interpretation? So I wasted my energy. Can you tell you something else which will not get you angry? Okay. One thing, we can miss things, it's okay. Two, well, no, just change the interpretation of it. Wow, another opportunity to go back and reset it for me. I have unlimited energy and I can do this time and again. It's an opportunity. You know, it's very interesting how there was this mother, and it's a fact, twins, and both of them are having special needs. And now look at the interpretation. She says, I feel so blessed that God thought I'm worthy to look after these two girls. And I feel blessed. Now, can you imagine how the interpretation of the thought, what some people or parents might look at as a burden or a very difficult thing, or why was I given this? Why me? Here's this person who says, I'm blessed and I'm thankful. And can you see how she feels inside? So it's not the trigger that creates the issue, it's the interpretation of the trigger. So the same thing, disorganized things, how am I interpreting it? If I interpret it as oh, it's a waste of energy, the guy doesn't know anything, they're so, I've told them so much, repeated so many times, they don't understand. You can just change it to something else which is more positive. Now, there is a fact and there is a story. It's disorganized, somebody mistook it and kept it somewhere else, that's the fact. But we create a story around that fact. This person is like this, that person like this, and this is happening here. And, we create a huge story, and that really creates a lot of this unnecessary emotion. Cut the story out. Look at the fact, you're okay. Think about it. Many times, there's a lot of stories we tell ourselves. You just have to go beyond the story and see what's the fact. This is the fact. Go by the facts, your emotions are less. All your emotion comes in the story. Yeah. So, first strategy, facts versus story. What is the meaning you're giving to things that are happening in your life? Use cultural lens behavior. I would like everybody to have a notepad. So I want you to just write down one thing and let's start working on these strategies very quickly. Yeah. And so just be open. Let's just work with each other. And we'll have some very interesting things here. So I just want you to write something that actually creates anger for you. All right, something that really happens in your life that's creating anger. Just write something, a trigger that creates anger, usual anger for you. So today we'll not just be listening and going and doing the same things again. We'll truly change some of those triggers. We'll truly change some of those interpretations, and we'll see how we can free ourselves from anger. Does that help if you do something like that? Yeah. Okay, what happens in the Raj Yoga Center today will remain in the Raj Yoga Center. Is that okay? So we're going to be confidential. We're not going to share with anybody. That's fine? No? You'll go and share with everyone else? No, if you're having some personal things people are sharing, we don't want you to share it with anybody else. Keep it confidential. Is that okay? Yeah, we want everybody to be open. So to participate. So we don't make them feel afraid that, oh, if I say something, somebody will share it with everybody else. Okay, so many times culture has a difference as well. You know, people in different cultures behave differently. It has nothing to do with them, but the culture is a little different, and that's why they have this issue. Did everyone get a sheet of paper to write? No. Here, sister, here, these two. So can you please write something? And if that's creating you anger, what is the story you're telling yourself about that? Very important. You know, there's a guy called Stephen Covey. He's written his book, 7 Habits. He's sitting in a train. He's going very calmly. 3 children come into the train and they start creating havoc. And he's going on, and the father also sitting next to him. He's doing nothing to them. So he's going on saying, I mean, can't this guy just stop them from shouting and screaming? And then he suddenly nudges me. Are they your children? He says, yes, I'm sorry. What happened? Can you see what happened? They're running around the train. They're disturbing all of us. Stop them because we were so peaceful before they came in the train. I'm so sorry. I was just completely lost in thought. We just come back from a hospital where just 1 hour back, their mother passed away. And I don't know how to reveal this to them. Instantly, what happens to him? There's a paradigm shift. He feels, oh, no, 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 it's okay. It's okay. Let them play. Let them play. Now he suddenly starts seeing things from a very different lens because now the interpretation has shifted completely. He's not telling him the story. These are ill-mannered kids. They don't know anything. They're so rowdy. They're so ruckus. They're this. And the father is looking at them. He has no understanding. How do they bring up such children? All those thoughts. That's what their stories you create in the head. That's creating all the unnecessary stuff. But the fact is very different. So many times, ask yourself, am I telling myself a story? And if you are, stop yourself, look for facts. If you don't have facts, then just do not give yourself a story. If you don't know the facts, don't add the story. You don't know it, right? Either understand the facts or you pause and say, I don't know the facts. Let me just give benefit of doubt there. So for me, when somebody comes in between, and this is something I changed the interpretation for me. So I used to get cheesed off the moment somebody comes and interrupts me. Or in the aircraft, right? You want to go into the aircraft. Everybody's going to the aircraft. The aircraft won't go without you going in. But everybody wants to jump inside. Like, I want to go first. What are you going to go do first? You're going to go and sit down, right? So it's like this huge queue that wants to go and everyone wants to run. So I used to really find it funny, But for me, I said, okay, you know what? I don't know, but they may be having something very. So the people who come in the queues when I'm actually, maybe they have to rush somebody to the hospital. Somebody may be very ill there. I have no idea, but I don't know the facts. Let me not build the stories in my head. Simple. And then no more. Finishes, largely at least. It just dissipates off. So what is the meaning of that? You have to tell yourself is very important. Am I telling myself stories about what's happening? Or I know the facts and I'm really looking at the facts. Right, so very important. That's the interpretation. So can you see the trigger there? Please write your trigger there and think about what's the story you've been telling yourself, because you have an emotion, there's a story. What's the story you've been telling yourself? And can you try and see a fact. So culturally also it is different, right? So somebody coming late, how do you feel? There are some people who get very angry. The moment you're 2 minutes late, how can you be late? I feel very angry about it. Now, if you go to a place like UK or invited for dinner at 8 o'clock, you better be there at 8 o'clock. Otherwise, it's very rude. You do to go to Brazil and you're called for dinner at 8 o'clock. And if you reach at 8 o'clock, you know what's going to happen? They're going to say, this guy is desperate for dinner. You're expected to come half an hour late or 1 hour late, not on time. So in different cultures, it's very different. So we are in a multicultural. There could be different people who don't know some things that the other culture knows. So there's many a times you just understand that different cultures, it's like we are from different parts of the world and maybe different planets also. They very differently think and look at things. So all these things will help us to just change the meaning of what is happening there. All right. So if you have some trigger there, I have a small self-reflection. Think about places where you feel angry. Reflect as below. What is the event? What is a thought? What are some of the facts and the stories that you've told yourself? A very good exercise for you to see how you can free yourself from your anger. At least one you can write. One trigger, one event. It could be an event, it could be a trigger. And what was the thought that you created? And then what were the facts in it? What are some of the stories to that? Um, And reframing is all about seeing, can I just change the way I look at it so that I do not get angry based on the facts? Or if it's not based on the facts, can I just give it a better meaning? Like, hey, I don't know, but there must be something there which is larger than I can imagine. Oh, this may not work. See? We have pens here. Try this. Yeah. Good. Yeah. Do you all have some trigger that makes you angry or no? Real trigger, yeah? Real trigger, please. Real trigger, write it down. Don't feel shy. We are all equally here to help each other. We are all good friends. Okay, are you able to help yourself see the story? Are you able to see the story in that event? Okay, what I want you to do is, now this is where we are all one family. Share with your neighbor, what is your trigger? Help them see the story they are telling themselves. The story is something that they think, but it may not be the facts. It may not be the facts. Okay. So can you find a partner? So we have three here. You may want to have a partner. How do you have, can you get into partners, twos in some way? Maybe somebody at the back there, twos. We have three, twos, pairs. Can we get into pairs? Pairs. Okay. So we have, would you want to come forward, sister? So we have pairs here. You have pairs, pairs. You have a pair. 2, 4. Okay, so three of you. You know each other. Two of them. You don't have a pair. Pair up with somebody and help them see the story. See the story. Ask them to see the story. Try to see if they can identify the story they're telling themselves. Okay, why don't you two of you? Two of you? Two of you? No, I'm with them. I'll be with them. You go ahead. Two of you. Is that okay? You go ahead. Yes.
Yeah. So the trigger is children playing in the corridor.
Children playing in the corridor. Yes, yes.
The thought
Okay, thank you. Yeah, good. Thank you so much. Okay, I hope some of you did get some stories out. What's the story you're seeing? What are the facts there? And how you can reframe. Strategy 2 is a pause. The second one. So first one, try to think about what are the facts in the situation. Am I telling myself stories? Shift the way you look at things, because your interpretation is where it is. The meaning you give to an event. Events have no life. There's a beautiful saying in Kung Fu Panda. This guy comes up, Shifu, the master, right? He comes to, Master, I have bad news. He says, Shifu, there's no good or bad news. There's only news. It's a fact, right? There's only news. There's no good or bad. What makes it good or bad is the meaning I give to the news, is the way I interpret it. Similarly, every event, there is no life. Triggers have no life. You give it that meaning and it creates a life to it, and therefore you have anger. All right, so that's the first part. Is that okay? First strategy. Second one is a simple pause. Now, everyone has this very beautiful, there's always a stimulus and there's a response. In between every stimulus and response, there is a space. Always there is a space. And it's called SPR, stimulus, pause, response. If you could pause before any reaction, you'll be able to see how you can, in that pause, you can choose, how do I become more, what do I really do in this situation? So you just don't do it immediately. Remember this grandmother used to tell us, count 10 before you say anything to somebody. When you're angry, just hold back and count 10. They had a lot of wisdom, right? And I'm sure we can go like, okay, if someone says something, I have a trigger, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I still shout there. We just slow down a little bit, pause for a moment, and just take a small pause, strategic pause, and then think about, okay, what can I do here? I think that will be a very beautiful way. Pause, because then the trigger, if you pause, you can reframe the trigger immediately and see, okay, I cannot control this thing. This is not in my control. I have no control here. What I can only control is myself. But a small pause will help us. Strategy 2. So there are so many hidden forms of anger. Many times I say, I'm not angry. Anger isn't always loud. It can also be very subtle. For example, criticism. You could be criticizing someone constantly. You might be having some very subtle anger inside. Control. You're trying to control things. Everything should be in my control. I need to be known. How come you didn't inform me about this happening over here? So I want to always be in charge. Emotional withdrawal. You withdraw from things. We saw that before. Sarcasm. Blaming, labeling, preaching, ordering, warning, ridiculing. All these are subtler forms of anger. So be very careful when you think about anger only as shouting and screaming. But there could be so many other forms in which I can be angry, but it's just kind of masked itself. Recognize your unique expression of suppressed anger. Third strategy. Now, this is a very important one. Many times I get angry because of my own inability to do things properly. My own incompetence shows up and I get angry at somebody else. So sometimes anger reflects our own unpreparedness. Now, I could have done something and gone properly, but I was in a hurry and I just said, hey, just look after the red girl. And I come back and say, you said you didn't tell me clearly when to do this or what to really do. And then I'm getting angry and shouting at you, but actually I'm angry at myself that I should have done it before going, or I should have been more clear with you. I thought I'll go back and I'll make that call and tell you once more, but I didn't do that because I just felt, no, you might know it. So I should have done something in a better way. I didn't do it, and I'm getting angry with somebody else. You see how I'm just shifting the blame there? But it's actually my responsibility. So sometimes anger reflects our own unpreparedness. Shift from blame to responsibility. Truly proactive people. Who are proactive people? Proactive people are those who take responsibility for everything that is actually results that they have in their lives. Or whatever results you have, good or bad, who's responsible? I am. Proactive people take responsible. Reactive people keep blaming others for everything. Oh, the environment, oh, the weather, oh, the people, oh, my team members, oh, this. It's because of them that I'm failing. Proactive people, let me see what is it that I have to change. That's why I say, badla nahi lo, badal ke dikhao. Don't try to take revenge and blame other people and do all these things. Change yourself. See how I can shift. So transform, don't retaliate. Is that okay? Can you think of a time when you got angry because you could have done something in a better way. And if you had done it a little bit better, if you had communicated more clearly, the anger would have not been there. Because the things were done properly, very nicely. It's the way we communicate, right? Sometimes that matters. Yeah. So for example, if I say, draw a small circle in the center of that page. Center of the page, draw a small circle. Right in the center of that page, any page that you have, draw a small circle. Okay, great. Done, everybody? Small circle? Can you show everybody the circle? Can you show all of us the circle? Show us what's the circle looking like. Can you show me the circle and show each other? Can you see everyone's circle? Is it all the same size? No, it's very different, right? Okay, you know what I really wanted? I wanted something like this. I wanted this. This is small for me, and something like that is big. Can you imagine? For me, this is small, this is big. This is small. Now, whose fault was it that you gave me that sort of a size? No, that's, even if I take that book, I could probably write, I could have a very different format, and all of you give me a different thing. And I can stand here saying, okay, let's supposing this is what I thought was small. And you giving me something like this. Now I'll say, he understood me. You didn't understand me. So many times I don't communicate clearly. I should have said, what's the radius of it, or how big it should be, or I should have shown it to you. This is what I require. I don't do that. I just tell you something, and I'm not so clear. You guys give me different results, and I come back and scream at you and say, you can't understand simple English. So remember, a large part of why things go wrong is you yourself did not communicate it clearly or effectively enough. So do that. That's strategy 3. Strategy 4. It's okay. We'll take about 5 more minutes. Is that fine? From need to nourishment. Transform anger by identifying and fulfilling inner needs. Now, many times, there's something missing inside me. There's a vacuum somewhere, which is why I'm getting angry. So try to understand that need and nourish it. So here's the need. Anger often masks unmet emotional needs. Sometimes you need to be respected. Your need is there to be valued. You need to be heard. Right? I want to be heard. Come on, listen to me. Say, you don't value what I say. You don't value the things I give you. I got this from such difficulty. I brought this all the way, and I've done so many sacrifices for you, and this is what I get at the end of the day. You don't value me. So we need to be valued. We need to be respected in different formats, right? Respect could be something that could be. I remember at times when I used to get angry when I'm having sessions like this, and there are people who are talking to each other, doing so many funny things, not listening to me. But then it took me some time to realize that it was my own inner need, which was not fair. People are here for their needs, and if they feel that they want to listen, they will listen. If they don't want to feel, it's perfectly fine. They've come, so they know best what they need to listen to and not. So it's very important for us to realize what's the need I have inside me that is creating and triggering that. So that's important. Identify the real need and healthy ways to fulfill it. Can I fulfill those needs in a better way? I need to be respected. Start respecting yourself. Truly, that's a fact. You're not valuing me. Hey, do you value yourself? You're expecting others to value you. How much do you value yourself? So inside I'm empty and I'm looking for someone outside to fill it for me. All right. So what's the unmet need? One is love and affection. Everybody wants that. That's a need that we have. We need respect. We need to be heard. We need fairness and justice. We need autonomy and control. Yeah, we'd like to give me choices. Don't micromanage me. Come on, it's not nice. Support, peace and harmony, belonging and appreciation. All of this is what we need. Intrinsically, this is something that every human requires. Now, if this is not met, then I'm expecting it from outside. If it doesn't happen from outside, I'm getting angry. Do you understand the process of anger here? We're going a little deeper, but it's very important to understand this. Now, what are some ways of meeting this, nourishing these needs? How do you nourish it yourself? So there are some suggestions here. Love and affection. Practice self-love and nurturing self-talk. You heard of self-talk. Many times people say, auto-suggestions. What are some of the good things that you can tell yourself? But self-love is very important. And appreciation goes well. Celebrate your growth with internal validation. I want others to, why appreciation means please validate what I'm doing. Let me know that I'm doing right. Let me know that I'm doing okay. Validate yourself. Don't keep looking for it from outside. All right. And if you don't get it from outside, you're getting angry. Give it to yourself. If you understand it, please start doing that yourself. Celebrate your growth with internal validation, respect and recognition. Acknowledge your own efforts. Self-appreciation journal. Have a journal every day. Self-appreciation journal. Look at all those wonderful things that you respect yourself for, recognize yourself. These are some beautiful things I did. I went to the Raj Yoga Center. Wow. All right. So recognize being heard, understood, journaling or inner emotional processing. So there's a lot of processing that we do inside ourselves, which will help us to be, felt that I'm understood inside. So usually, you want to talk to somebody about our emotions and tell them things. But you can also sit down with yourself, start creating those, ways of speaking out loud in those journals. And there's a lot of emotional, healing that happens that way. There's no justice outside. Live your integrity, focus on your response. You cannot control again outside. Live your integrity. This is my integrity. Let me live my integrity and focus on your response. Autonomy and control. Reconnect with your power of choice. We all have choices. Nobody is there in this world that doesn't have choices. So if you believe in my choices are taken off, no, you choose to be in that space at that point in time. We're always having choices. Support. Be your own encourager. And spiritual connection. When you're forging a spiritual connection with the Supreme, wonderful support. That support is going to be with you everywhere, every time, constantly. Every other physical support can always go off. And we've seen that many times. Probably COVID was one of the big things to show us. You may have taken all your physical supports for granted, but they will not actually happen to you. When you really want them, they can all just, not be there. So your spiritual connection with the Supreme is true support, lasting support, always there. Peace and harmony, meditation, silence, or nature immersion. So you want to feel peaceful? Meditation. It's there inside already at the core. Belonging. Practice self-acceptance. Find value-aligned groups. So, okay, you want to have a sense of belonging? Find people who are like-minded like you. So you actually have that feeling of belongingness, but also practice self-acceptance. As I said many times, we're just rejecting our own selves. You're not accepting who I am. I wish I had this. I wish I'd done this. I wish I could have done this. I wish I did this before. Constantly not accepting myself. So that's a very important part. And appreciation, of course. So these are ways of self-nourishing. And that brings us to the last strategy, which is, I just want you to look at this for a minute. Just have a look at it and tell me what you feel. How do you feel just seeing this? I want you to really transport yourself to a place like this. How do you feel? Yeah. Very relaxed. A sanctuary of tranquility. Let me ask you, was that calmness in that picture? Was it in that place? When you go to that place, you'll feel really calm. Is that what you believe? Where was the calmness? If it was in that place, you didn't even go there. You just saw a picture of it. So where did the calmness come from? It's inside. It's all inside. So deep within us, whilst there could be anger at the surface, and anger is that space when I can really have that agitation, and that's when it comes out. But deep inside, at the core, all of us have peace. So what you need to understand is I am not my anger, but I am peace, love, and purity. That's my true self. So understand your true self. And what's the opposite of anger? Peace. They say with every minute of anger, you lose 60 seconds of peace. So just enhance your peace and the anger is going down. Because that's how it is. You fill your life and world with more peace. And so there has to come from a true understanding inside that I am a peaceful being. Deep inside, I'm peaceful. Anchor your worth internally, not externally. You don't have to wait from outside to actually, if I get that respect from there, if everyone speaks good about me, oh, yes, I'm good. Use silence and meditation to reconnect with your true self and the divine. And that's very important. And that's something we can do for the next 3 minutes. Can we just sit for a few moments in silence and see how we can just practice this and experience the peace? With every experience of peace, you are creating new pathways. And that's very good for you. So it's not that you go overnight, you can overcome your anger, but it's over a period of time that you work on all these slowly and you will get over it. So take a deep breath in and out, sit back, relax, unfold your arms and legs, keep your back straight. Although you can keep it relaxed, but keep it straight. The spine should be straight. And the first thing you do is start with accepting yourself. Accept yourself for who you are and for where you are right now. Be kind to yourself. You're enough. You're abundantly enough. Understand and realize that I make choices every moment. I choose to accept myself. I choose to take charge of anger. It's my reaction to the triggers. Let me let go of all the stories I've been telling myself. Let me understand facts. Let me reframe because no event has life. I give it to them. I choose to give them meaning that is useful and helpful to me so I can stay positive. Because every time I become negative, I get to lose nobody else. So I'll do what I have to do, but I'll stay positive inside. So consider this as a pause. You're just pausing, you're watching yourself, see your mind, the thoughts that you have, and create some very beautiful thoughts. Come very much into the present. Be here because the present, there's no problem. Be here. Be aware of yourself here. Be aware of everyone around you. Create some very good thoughts for yourself and create thoughts for others as well. Just as I'm peaceful, loving, and happy, everyone else is peaceful, happy, and loving. Deep down, everybody is trying their best. It may be very different from the way I would do things. They may be helpless. They may be ignorant. But now, as I understand with my maturity, I can forgive. I can let go. Take another deep breath in and out. I am peaceful. Repeat that to yourself very slowly and feel it. I am peaceful. Okay, so hold on to that peace inside and keep revisiting it every time you get a chance. Just remember the fact is, I am peaceful. Okay, so which strategy touched you the most today? Which will you apply first? And your daily practice, pause, reframe, reflect, meditate. So that's for you to take back. Take a moment to reflect on this. Something very practical that you want to take back. At least one thing that you want to take back. One small thing that you feel will help you as you go back from here. And as soon as you have it, turn to your partner and share it with them and thank them for being your partner today. Go on. First, share what you're going to take back with them. What's that strategy you want to carry with you that's going to support you? And then thank them. Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I think we should have part two because I mean, I've already extended time by almost 20 minutes. Please. All right. Thank you so much. Have a very good night, everybody. Thank you. Yeah, on Mondays, every month we do have them.